Hey, what's up? It's Ladonna with My Mixtapes, and I have my man Dro here from Uncle Will Records. And if you don't know who he is the reason why you see a lot of these Chicago artists blowing up on the map. How you feeling?
Can't complain.
Yeah, nice. I mean, I want to talk about just how you've pretty much broke the internet with a lot of Chicago artists. You've signed major deals with big numbers, something that most major labels don't even do nowadays. I mean, how did that feel as an accomplishment and starting a big movement coming out of Chicago?
I mean, I feel like, there's a lot of kids from Chicago that needed someone
Right.
that can, I guess guide them and help them get them into the right lane so that they could turn they trap or turn they whatever kind of music they was doing into some money.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, for me, being an artist myself from back in the day, I used to look for someone that can do that for me. Like, man, I wish I had a big homie that can show me how to get a deal or show me how to get with a director or some stuff like that, you know what I mean? So when my chance came to be that big homie for kids, that's pretty much what I tried to do.
I mean, I think everyone knows that you signed like a $7.8 million deal for one of your artists. I mean, how did you feel being able to even do that, coming from where you come from?
It was an experience.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. A lot of people said I couldn't do it. We had a lot of negative energy from day one with Keef and the Glory Boys and the whole way that we came about. So it was like, when we did do it, I guess I was looking at a lot of people like, I told you I can do it. Just have a little faith, we can make it happen.
Right. Did you feel like you had something to prove back home, something to prove to Chicago? And
at the time, I wasn't even thinking about proving nothing. I've been, doing me for a long time.
Right.
Like, putting up stats and numbers for a long time in different categories, different businesses, and So when I got into this, I was just, doing me. And because of the lane of music, and I guess the type of people that's attracted by that kind of music,
mm-hmm.
it became a little difficult,
I mean, so who is Dro? You said you did music before. Like, what made you push so hard?
I think that started back when I was Keef's age. When I met Keef, when I was his age, that was around the time I met Jordan and Scottie Pippen and all those guys. And they was like, I remember the first time I asked Jordan for some money for my rap business. He was like, shit, you gonna do a whole lot of rapping for me to give you $10,000, buddy. So it was just like I said, I had experiences like that,
right,
that made me say, man, if I had the chance to be on, be a big homie for shorties and had the bread or had the resources to get them cracking, I'm gonna do that for Chicago, because like you said, there wasn't too many people doing that for Chicago.
So, I mean, how did you find like Chief, or how did you know he had what it takes to go to the next level?
I think, well, I found Keef from D Gaines. Shout out D Gaines. You know what I'm saying? I'm a videographer from Chicago that was shooting videos for everybody. And one of my guys was like, hey man, this the dude D Gaines you talking about, he over in my building, you want to meet him? So I came over, I was like, yeah, I want to meet him. I came over, I had a 7D Canon on my neck. And at the time, he didn't have that camera. He was just like, man, what you doing with that? I was like, well, I don't really know how to use it, but I just got it, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, I was like, well, next time you shoot a video, just give me a call and I'll let you use it. So the next time he was shooting a video, it was a Chief Keef video. And I didn't even know who he was, so I let him use the camera. And when I got the camera back, it was like, it was filled up with a whole bunch of footage of Keef and all his boys. And I'm looking at the footage like, I said, man, these little kids riding around with real guns like that, aiming them at the camera. And when I looked at the video footage for a couple times, I called D Gaines. I was like, hey man, are these real guns these kids got in the video? He's like, hell yeah, they real guns. Wow. I was like, and they aiming at you with bullets in the chamber? He was like, yeah. So I was like, oh wow, dude, this little boy crazy. And so like the next day he called me back. He was like, man, that video got like 70,000, some crazy amount of views. in 24 hours. He was like, man, I ain't never did nothing like this. But the little kid is just bad, and ain't got nobody messing with him. Nobody really, you know, he's got no guidance.
Yeah.
He's like, could you help him? So I was like, give him my number, and I see what I can do. I'll see if I can help him. You know, because Uncle Ro wasn't trying to be no manager or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? I was just trying to help the kids.
Almost like a dad, like a father figure.
Like an uncle.
Like an uncle, of course, Uncle Ro.
Like an uncle, you know? So I wasn't trying to do all what everybody was, you know, nah. I was just trying to help the little kid. You know what I mean? When I got my first conversation with him, he was like, man, I got my first kid on the way, and I don't want to be broke when she come into the world. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, whoa, that's pretty deep to be coming from a 16-year-old, and I seen in his eyes that he was not playing. So I was just like, you know, I see what I can do. Let's try to make this happen. You know? And
then it just kind of just took off from there.
Well, it didn't take off from there.
In the sense of like your partnership with our relationship, your relationship kind of just took off. Building it every day by day, and I get it. So after all that, you signed, right, to Interscope. Can you tell me about that whole process?
Well, it was more or less like you said, putting out content. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I felt like if I got people into Chief Keef, they would just accept his music. You know what I'm saying? They would just go along with the music. You know what I mean? So when I would post stuff up on Keef, it would be like stuff that was going on in his life. You know what I mean? And a lot of stuff that was going on in his life was drama. You know, and drama makes good news, makes good, you know, good stories, I guess.
After the deal, do you mind if I talk about that? After the deal, you signed. He had shows, and at the time, a lot of people were saying, and I say a lot of people, I mean like online promoters, that he would book shows and not show up, right? Does that? And I feel like it's kind of blamed on the manager, because you're the head of, or quote unquote,
the go-to guy
for the artist. Do you feel like it's your fault that like the word of Keef not showing up to shows? Because that was a headline at one point. He just don't show up to shows.
Right. I mean, I haven't been messing with him. I mean, you ask yourself that question. If Keef goes to a show, I get paid. If he don't go to the show, I don't get paid, and I got to pay them people back their money that they already sent us.
Right.
So, do you think I'm going to be telling him not to go to shows, or to miss shows, or tell people, hey, no, I ain't going. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? That was just Keef being a young kid with, you know, too much on the shoulders, I guess.
Okay, and I completely understand that. So he got dropped, right? I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, because like I said, I'm based off of my research. Interscope dropped because the numbers weren't adding up in the sense of sales and all that. Can you elaborate on what you feel like maybe went wrong and why his sales didn't go according to plan at the time?
Well, I mean, like if the kid didn't want to play ball, he didn't want to play ball. Right. You know what I mean? Like I said, it wasn't me who wasn't telling him to do stuff. I would be on him. But he was, you know, sometimes he would get difficult.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I understand.
That's how artists are sometimes.
And as a manager, I mean, technically you work for them. I don't think people understand, like, as a manager, you work for the artist. Yeah. So if the artist doesn't want to do something, that's
you know what I mean? And a lot of people used to think just because Keef was, you know, younger than me, that it was my responsibility. But just like you said, I work for this kid. You know what I mean? Right. So if he say he don't want to go, you know, and I go do what I got to do to try to make him go, and then he still don't want to go, it's like, you know, it's only so much you can do. I
mean, in that moment, did you feel as if it was your fault in the moment? Maybe because you kind of nurtured him and was an uncle figure?
Nah, because when the first time he did that, I remember one time his grandmother called me and she said, "You better hope he don't get up and tell you he don't want to go." I was like, what did she mean by that?
Yeah.
And when he told me he wasn't going to this show, the first show that he missed, that I booked in Tennessee, I don't remember when it was, whatever, but I know it was Tennessee, you know, years ago, and he was like, "Nah, man, I ain't going to Ball Out Get Out." And because Ball Out got in trouble with something or whatever, you know what I mean? And when he didn't go to that show, I was just like, dude, we supposed to pick up another 20 bands, 25 bands over there. You know what I mean? That was a good night for us. You know what I mean? So I instantly thought about what his grandmother said. Like, you better hope he don't want to get up one day and tell you he's not going. So it was just like...
It was almost like her warning.
Yeah, she warned me about the stuff. So when it happened, it just clicked. Like, oh, God, is this what this boy really on? You know what I mean? Right. So, you know, I just took it, you know. I was raised that I'm not going to tell on my brother. I'm not going to tell on my sister. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, if, you know, we family. So what we do inside the house is what we do in the house. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, you know, when we outside the house, I'm the oldest, so I'm going to take the punches. I don't, you know. That's what I do.
All right, and I feel like you've been taking the punches.
Yeah.
The internet is so imperative in 2016, it can almost ruin someone's reputation because people are basing their own opinions off of things they don't know, right? So, I know that you guys split ways. Was that hard for you?
Let's you know, for the record. Chief Keef say he fired me like a year ago.
Right.
I quit 2 years ago. When I came to California, I left all them kids there. They followed me here and kept on, you know what I mean, asking me to do stuff.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't, me feeling some kind of way, hell no.
Because it was already like a relationship kind of broken off.
The relationship, that's not a problem. It's more or less the things that go around in the problems that's around them that I don't want to be affiliated with.
Okay, like what? Like you mean like not showing up to shows and those kind of problems?
Those lawsuits added up, you know,
wanted, all that, like,
all that stuff added up.
Right.
But I mean, when I got my kid, one of my oldest son go to school in Calabasas. An incident happened out here where somebody was saying that they was affiliated with the gang, with Low Gang, and they ended up getting killed out here. My son, one of his best friends, shout out to TDE, that's TDE? Yeah, shout out to TDE. He's friends with his kid, and when this story came out, he stopped letting my son, they stopped being friends, like, wow. You know what I mean? So it was just like, that was like a real big turning point for me, like, you know, you messing up my kids' lives now with this stuff. You know what I mean? That's why I ran away from Chicago. That's why I left the spot. Like,
so you haven't been back to Chicago?
Yeah, I've been back, but you know, I don't go back broadcasting it. Like, you know, I'm not trying to end up on a T-shirt. You know what I mean? So I go back, but I dip in, do what I got to do, and dip out. You know.
So do you still right now have ties with Interscope?
Yeah.
Like with your record label, your management, you have new artists?
Yeah.
Oh, how many? Or would you want to name some?
I got a couple of them. I mean, it's a lot of artists that want me to manage them. So, you know, so it's
you are taking new clients.
Yeah, that's what Uncle Roll Records is about. You know.
So it sounds like to me that entire situation has not stopped you. You are moving.
Yeah.
You still got management companies. You got record deals. You're still dealing on the highest level. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I didn't even think I was supposed to stop, or you know what I mean? It's just like, I was just, you know, I thought that was the next move for me to do was to open my arms up so I can grab more artists.
Right.
You know?
So, I just have a question, because we talked about it before with that deal. Was it 7.8 mil or something like that? Some numbers in there, a lot of money. Let's just say a lot of money.
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
A lot of money. And did you facilitate that deal on your own?
Yeah.
Can you even, okay, granted, you had, outside of Keef, you really had no dealings with major labels, correct?
Never.
So that's what I'm saying. So you walk in a major label and sign a crazy number deal. Like, how did you even facilitate that? How did you even get them to that point? Because I know they started down here.
Yeah.
How did you even get them there?
I mean, I think that goes back to the Jordan days. I mean, being a kid and watching Jordan and the numbers that he was doing and adding up how much he was making an hour to the day when I got my chance to be on that side where I'm negotiating the deal. I was just like, you know, I'm gonna do all my research, you know what I mean, and see what this is worth and what it's worth to me and what it's worth to the kid, and go for that. You know, when we first started, we decided, we was like, man, let's try to get some, you know, he was like, man, let's try to get 2 million. I was like, let's get more than that. He's like, all right, Dan, let's get some football numbers. Let's get 10 million. So we shot for 10 million. You know what I mean? So when we got what we got, a lot of people was surprised. I
think that broke the internet itself.
Yeah, what we got, and then like, you know, a couple different things a couple different twists I put in there. You know, it's like the headphone deals, for instance. Like when Jimmy and Larry called me, they was like, hey, yeah, we're so happy to do the deal. I was like, okay, well, we got one thing that we want to put in there before this is over with. He was like, what? I was like, we want some headphones. He's like, oh, no problem. Send me an address. I'm gonna send you and your family a whole box of them. I was like, oh, no. We don't want that. We want our own line, you know, the Keef Beats. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, he said the same thing you said. I said, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Let's do that. I was, you know, so, but again, Keef being young, dumb, and full of cum at the time, he didn't respect what was going on. You know what I mean?
You know what? It sounds like you had a plan, and you were gone. You were motivated and determined. So now that when I say that plan, I mean that particular plan because the deal with Chief Keef and you guys are now like no longer affiliated. Are you guys still cool?
Yeah.
You guys talk, all that? That's mad respect.
Like I said, I'm still an uncle figure, you know what I mean? If he get in trouble right now, he gonna call me.
Right.
Last time I think he got pulled over and they was about to take him to jail, I was the one who came there. You know what I'm saying? Not nobody else.
So it's no hard feelings, even for yourself?
I mean, you know, I think he's a little stingy sometimes. But other than that, nah, he cool with me. You know, my kids still call him uncle. That's their uncle.
That's dope. So what do you have coming up next, like with your artist or multiple deals, or where do you see, you know, Uncle Roll Records?
Well, I kind of feel like you know, what's his name, Phil Jackson, the old coach from the Bulls. You know, he did his thing in Chicago, and then he left Chicago and went to LA and he did his thing out there. I'm kind of on the same page. You know, I'm out in Cali now. I got a whole new roster. You know, one of our biggest fan bases from the Glow Gang thing, I think, was out in DC. To me, we got a lot of love from DC. So when I started my own thing, I got a blessing from God. This kid named DB from DC was like, you know, I met him on some, you know, like I said, a blessing. And, you know, we started doing our thing, and I'm going to push him until he becomes a star and hopefully win some Grammys. Because that's something else I haven't done. I haven't won any Grammys.
That's the next word. You want Grammys.
Yeah, I want Grammys.
I get you.
You know. So.
I want Grammys.
You do too?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, come on here to Uncle Roll Records. We on the Grammys.
I'm gonna hold you to that. If I call you, don't be like, who? Charm who?
Nah, come on. I mean, that's it. That's what I'm on. And I want people that's a little bit more, you know, business savvy and, you know. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I'm on. I got DB, I got D Cozy, I got Lil Kane. I got a lot of artists, you know what I mean? But like I said, right now the Jordan on the squad is DB. Then I got D Cozy playing Pippin.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
You got your roster, you got your team.
Yeah, I got enough to make something happen.
Right. Would you do anything different if you can go back 3 years? If you can go back 2 years, would you have done anything differently?
I would have taken Keef and just been somewhere where it's just been me and him, and not all the rest of his, you know, gang and all the rest of that. Because if it was just him and I, we probably have been competing with Eminem.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we did stuff real quick when it was just him and I. You know. Then when it started getting everybody else getting involved and giving him advice on this and advice on that, that's when stuff started. You know.
If, say for instance, say a year from now, 2 years from now, Keef called you and was like, hey, can you manage me again? Would you take on that role?
I feel like after he turns 25, yeah.
Right.
But before that, I might have to hold off, you know. Like, hey, shorty, you know what I'm saying? You know, you still got my assistant over there helping you out, you know what I mean? You
Right.
Stay with him, you know. But yeah, nah, he cool. I would help him out. I would help any kid out that really needs some help.
Do you want to go back home and find someone else? Or you chilling in Cali? You got your roster, you chilling in Cali. Are you looking, you know what I'm saying? Are you still looking back home?
Yeah, I mean, I still feel like I do want to grab some more kids from Chicago.
Right.
You know, that's
I mean,
never.
Chicago's crazy. Chicago's always on the news.
Yeah.
They're always on the headlines. Kids killing kids, people like dying. It's just, Chicago's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand you saying you would want to go back, or you would want to like pull some more kids out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like you said, I jump on the internet every once in a while and I Google top 10 hottest trap artists in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? I do that, and I see who's coming up. You know what I mean? And then I, you know, when I start seeing the guns and I start seeing the attitudes, I'll be like, oh shit,
oh shit,
oh man, come on. You know, I don't want to see all that, but yeah, I want to keep on grabbing a Chicago artist to play on the team every year.
Nice. Hey, it's Ladonna, and you just watched an exclusive interview with Uncle Ro, my man here.
What's happening?
You know, so tune in for more.
My Mixtapes, I appreciate the love.